weird ceratopsians. Welcome, guys, once again to the channel Ranking with Dinosaurs, where we rank dinosaurs. Yes, today, a video I'm very excited about. I'm going to talk about a group of dinosaurs which are not closely related, but related enough. Okay? So, this video went through a couple stages, and I was like, what do I call it? Because this was initially the rest of the Ceratopsians, which I don't know, it doesn't have a nice ring to it. Then it was the Leptoceratopsidae, which I'm like, yeah, it's not gonna work. It was the many other Ceratopsians, which again, so you know what? I just went the weirdos, the weird Ceratopsian tier list, because yes, these are all not Ceratopsians, but from Ceratopsia. So I'm gonna be starting with PROTOCERATOPS. So I'm gonna be starting with one of the most distinct, famous, and enigmatic dinosaurs, PROTOCERATOPS. Now, this guy is from the late Cretaceous in the Geoducta Formation. So, lived with Velociraptor. And it was described in 1923. And it was thought to be the ancestor to Ankylosaurs and Ceratopsians, but no, it is actually inside Ceratopsian. And there's two species, Andrewsi and Hellenicorhinus. It's a sick ass species name, by the way. These were quadrupedal herbivores. The adults, because the juveniles could actually be facultative bipeds, which means they were usually quadrupedal, but they could run on their hind limbs. And they were built like that, which would have been pretty adorable to look at. This guy's had a large skull. I'm gonna usually I show you like this big ass, where like big figures where I can show you, but this is the PROTOCERATOPS figure I have. It's a pretty cool one. They had a large skull compared to their bodies. You know, pretty large skull. They had a short and stiff neck, probably because they were doing a lot of head butting between them. Well, not head butting, but you know, a lot of shoving matches and stuff and such. Again, neck frill, typical of Ceratopsians. Not all of them, but this one was particularly large and triangular looking. Actually, the fastest way that you can differentiate the two species is by the horn. Andrewsi has like a single horn going, not like a horn, but this structure right here over the nose, while the other one has a pair of them going up their nose, like up, from their nose. It's like a pair. But yeah, the skulls themselves were very variable. Like they vary from specimen to specimen, and they had their strong beak, which was like a parrot, and their tail like structure had their tail had like a sail structure, kind of, you know. It was thought they were like kind of like semi-aquatic because it would help them like propel themselves, but no. We found a lot of fossils, nests, skin impressions. And the Finding Dinosaurs fossil, which, yes, I do have it tattooed here. I love PROTOCERATOPS, so, I mean, it's going to be an S tier, right? AQUILOPS. Now, we're going to the early Cretaceous of North America. We found AQUILOPS. This is the very first basal Neoceratopsian found in America back in 1997, but it was actually named and described in 2014. Again, this was a very small dude. It was like the skull had a 84 millimeter length. Like that's very tiny. Like this is not an Aquilops, just to make you know, just a very basal Ceratopsian as well, but it kind of looked like this. It was bipedal. The whole type wasn't probably fully grown as well, but it weighed like 1.5 kilograms. That is very small. This would, again, as with all small dinosaurs, if they were alive today, these guys would be pets, 100%. They had large eyes. They had a little, very tiny frill, but I wouldn't call it a frill per se, but something that you could call a frill. But it had, large eyes, probably spotting danger. These were, again, tiny ones. They were probably very fast as well. And they had a very pronounced beak, but in front of the beak, the actual beak, they had like a bump, like a secondary beak coming out of it, like a little dagger coming out, which is very particular, because what would it be used for? Again, as with paleontologists, we don't know what it was used. So what we can assume, I don't know, some kind of ritualistic mating. I don't know, probably, I don't know, help it, I don't know, dig, or I don't know, like scratch trees, or they could scratch their bags. I don't know. Basically. So Aquilops, I'm gonna give it an A tier. It's adorable. It gets a lot of adorable points. Montanaceratops. So Montanaceratops is a small ceratopsian from Alberta and, yes, Montana. It would be weird if it was called Montana. It wasn't actually found there, but yes, Montana as well. This guy was a small, not as small as Aquilops, 8 feet, 370 pounds. So I wouldn't call it necessarily small, but in a world where there's big ceratopsians like Triceratops, Montanaceratops is like, I guess you could call it small. But yeah, these guys had a pretty typical primitive ceratopsian build. They had their clawed feet, they got no horns on their face, and they did have a small frill, but very small. And they had teeth on their upper jaw, on their upper jaw. And they had a very flexible tail, and their tail bones were actually very tall, which I guess paleontologists suggest that this could be used for signaling. I don't know how necessarily, but they're the experts. So who am I to, say that they're wrong? But yes, Montanaceratops. One of the specimens actually had an injury on the tail. So I don't know. Could they be used for? It just combat is really weird. I don't know why it would be used for that, and it would probably break. So I don't know. Probably got injured in some other type of way. But yeah, Montanaceratops. Again, I don't think it's as cool as Protoceratops, honestly, and I don't think it's as adorable as Aquilops. So I have to put it down. I mean, I think I'm gonna put it all the way down C tier. PSITTACOSAURUS. Now, this is a very small ceratopsian from early Cretaceous in Asia. Now, you may be thinking, yeah, well, Asia, that's it. Well, yes, Asia, because this guy's been found everywhere over there. You got fossils in China, Russia, Mongolia, Thailand, like everywhere, almost everywhere in Asia. And those places are huge, so yes, almost everywhere in Asia. Like, this genus is notable for having the most species. Non-avian dinosaurs. Strictly speaking of non-avian dinosaurs, they had the most amount of species. 12. The insane amount of fossils we had to find to name a single species in a genus. Insane. Like, huge. Like, Tyrannosaurus Rex, we have a ton of specimens. And we only have Rex. Well, there was a new one, Macraensis, but, it was named just a little while ago. The amount of fossils that you need to have, and that lends to the credibility of this genus. It's insane. We have so much. We have tail, what would you call it? Preserved tail filaments from their tails, like quills. We know almost we got melanosomes as well, and we know almost like their color. They were like cream brown, some were more a little beige latter colors. They had a very tall skull, very robust beak, so they could eat almost anything. They were probably generalists. They were bipedal as well. And yeah, we found nests. Almost all the most ages are represented in the fossil record. We got hatchlings all the way to adults. And recently we found the now famous specimen that was actually finding an early mammal, which was actually the mammal was actually hunting it, and they died in that position. So that was pretty incredible find as well. Um, we actually this thing has allowed the studies of growth stages, reproduction biology as well. Like, it's pretty insane. It's like Psittacosaurus is pretty insane. The amount of research that has been done on them. We actually also know what its butthole looks like. So not other dinosaurs can say that. Psittacosaurus. I'm honestly considering to put in an S tier. I have to put in an S tier. Yes. ZUNICERATOPS. Now, you probably haven't heard of ZUNICERATOPS. This guy's from the Turonian, a stage in the late Cretaceous, and it's from New Mexico. This was discovered actually by an 8-year-old. Yes, and he was the son of a paleontologist, which is even funnier. But yes, there was. He discovered it. It was a skull and bones of several individuals, actually. And the skull was like long, pretty low, and there was no nasal horn, but there was a very well-developed pair of brow horns, which shows that this is a plesiomorphic trait. Now, plesiomorphic means that this is a trait shared by all of them. So all the Ceratopsians share the trait of having the brow horns. So what it means is that the ancestor of these guys probably had those two horns. If a Ceratopsian later doesn't have the brow horns, means that they evolved to lose them instead of gaining them. These guys were very small too. Only 7 feet, comparable to MONTANACERATOPS. So they were tiny, actually. They were like a mini, like a poodle's, like a chihuahua size. Well, not chihuahua, but you get me. It was like a poodle size, I don't know, Triceratops, but without the nose horn. Again, this is a prime example of the evolutionary transition between earlier Ceratopsians and the later ones. This guy's from the very famous formation that I didn't talk about in the North American formations video. Refer to that video, you gotta check it out. And maybe I'll touch on it in a part 2. But this is the Moreno Hill Formation, where Nothronicus, the Therizinosaur, has been found, and also Susquityrannus. This particular formation has been featured in 2 different documentaries. Let me know in the comments. Put in the comments which are those 2 documentaries. I want to see if you know. But yes, ZUNICERATOPS. It is very interesting, more than it is like distinct. I'm gonna put in B tier. TURANOCERATOPS. Now, this is the late Cretaceous, the Bisecti formation. This is Uzbekistan. It's a pretty cool formation, I gotta say. They had a pair of long brow horns, and it appears to be, again, a transitional form from, earlier Ceratopsians and later ones. Again, this guy was very small. It was even a tiny bit smaller than ZUNICERATOPS. The cool thing about this guy is that it has some traits which are lower, which shows that it was lower in the lower position in the evolutionary tree. But then there are some more derived traits that show that they were a bit higher on the tree. And so paleontologists today, what make of this is that it was much more derived than ZUNICERATOPS. So ZUNICERATOPS was lower, but Turano was still like right outside Ceratopsidae in general. Like right at the gates of Ceratopsidae are things like Diabloceratops. So Tyrannoceratops wasn't still at that level. Honestly, this guy looked a lot like a Triceratops, again in a smaller size. I don't know if we would be able to domesticate these guys. These guys look a little more dangerous. They're probably farm animals, honestly. Tyrannoceratops, I feel the same way about Tyrannoceratops than Zuni, so I'm gonna put it in B tier. UDANOCERATOPS. Now, come at the end of the tier list. And this just might be my favorite Ceratopsian. This is that Leptoceratopsid, from late Cretaceous Mongolia. And the holotype of this guy is a well-preserved, large, almost complete skull. Like, there was also some sparse vertebrae around, and they calculate this guy is at least 13 feet long, 1,500 pounds. This is the largest Leptoceratopsid. And honestly, the start of the show are those big jaws. Like, it had a very small frill actually, like a tiny frill for such a big Ceratopsian. But them jaws are like insane. Like, the bite force this thing could have had back in the day, I'm pretty sure if it bit your leg at any point, it would just snap it clean. Like, that's just how big these things are. They probably sheared and crushed vegetation like crazy. They probably ate almost everything. I wouldn't put it past them, these things, to just be omnivores at this point. That's how these things would be scary today. I see them as like the today's equivalent to like hippopotamus. That's how insane they look. And even the holotype that I was talking about had some injuries on its face, which are attributed to other Udanoceratops. So, I mean, it just means that they were biting the hell out of each other as well. And with those big jaws, that would have hurt, honestly. I pity any type of predator that would have, come anywhere close to these guys. So, Udanoceratops, again, oh yeah, it didn't have any horns too. Didn't need them. Come on, bro. What do you need horns when you can just bite and just destroy anything you bite? And at the end of their mouths, there was a powerful beak too. So, oh god, Udanoceratops is probably one of the coolest Ceratopsians ever, and it didn't need to have any horns or crazy frill. Udanoceratops, yes, I'm gonna do it. It's gonna be S tier, undisputed, top of S tier. That's gonna be the tier list for today, guys. Weird Ceratopsians. I know it's a weird name, and I'm probably not gonna change it. So it's gonna be the weird Ceratopsians. Please, guys, let me know in the comments what would be your tier list. Which is your favorite weird Ceratopsian? When I say weird Ceratopsian, I mean outside Ceratopsidae. Yeah, so let me know in the comments which is your favorite. Which one did I miss? Do you want a part 2 of weird Ceratopsians? Believe me, there are more of them. But yes, this is going to be the tier list, guys. Please like the video. Helps a lot. Subscribe. It helps even more. And I'm going to see you on the next video, guys. Thank you so much.